Hey
Hey guys!
guys! Welcome back to the Cozy Critique.
Today we're doing episode 2, Red Rising, chapters 4 through 6.
Before we get into that, I feel the need to acknowledge yes, in fact, we are filming under my bed. But guess what? We're doing it so you can be fed.
Yes.
I kind of ate with that.
And we worked hard on this set.
Yes,
It's
we
cute.
did. All right, without further ado, let's hop into it.
Alright. So, chapter 4 starts out where obviously Gamma won the laurel and not Lambda. And it's very significant because it's where we see more that the laurel is power. It's the way they control the Reds. There's a little quote. It says, "It keeps us striving but never conspiring." And I thought that the word conspiring was really interesting. Like, they will keep working hard and trying to get the laurel, but they know that they're not powerful enough to try and, like, overtake the society or anything like that.
I like that. Just like another form of manipulation for them.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of like actually leads into what I'm what I first noticed with specifically EO. I really liked how she reacted when Darrow was very furious about this situation. She initially was just like, dance with me, and then just let it kind of roll off her back, kind of in like a we'll get them someday kind of way, instead of a let's deal with this right here, right now kind of riot way.
Mm-hmm. And I think everyone else in this situation, I think they're very, very angry, especially the guys in this clan. Um, but they look up to Io, and I think that when they look to Io and they see that she doesn't care too much about it, she doesn't care what the society does or doesn't give them, she's more thinking on this higher level, and they see that, and I think they begin to feel that as well.
Yeah, she's like genuinely this light that just continues to grow, and she brings it for the entire society.
Mm-hmm.
um that actually brings me into my favorite quote of this entire
Oh, yeah?
chapter. uh it says, "We grew together and are now grown. In her eyes I see my heart. In her breath I hear my soul. She is my land. She is my kin, my love." I just think that's really sweet. And I think
When
that even you, heartless Haley, can...
when I read that, I knew you were gonna highlight that.
ah,
I actually
perfect.
didn't, but it is a very good quote. It's
It's
very
a
powerful.
great quote. Anyway, even like after this little celebration, Io continues to be like this significant light to Darrow, which makes sense. They're married, but
Mm-hmm.
it is very sweet because she does have this gift for him. And instead of Darrow's gift falling through and she's like dwelling on that, she ends up being able to power through it and just kind of offer Darrow her gift instead. And this gift ends up being so much more significant than the laurel could ever be. And
Yeah.
I know that this is moving really quick because this chapter moves really fast, but
Mm-hmm.
regardless, it feels very timeless to me. I like that as Io is leading Darrow through the tunnel, it says, "She takes my hand, and it's the only familiar thing." I think that's really parallel and almost contradictory to how Darrow sees himself. Darrow is a very submissive individual who has very strong hands, very powerful. Io, on the other hand, she is very rebellious outwardly,
Mm-hmm.
but she has very gentle touch. And I
Yes.
just really like that a lot.
I think it's interesting that so many times Darrow describes Io as, like, she's obviously really small, she's really pale, very thin, but obviously she has this heart and this hope that is, like, so much greater. than Darrow and probably the whole clan combined.
Such a big voice in a little body. Like
Yes.
she is just a child, but like
Hmm.
not to bring religion into it, but it's almost biblical in a sense that the words of a child can start a revolution.
Hmm.
And like
That's a
I
good
know that
point.
that's very dystopian, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
As Io is taking Darrow through this tunnel to his present, his little gift, he keeps coming back to this fear. She's like, he's just like, where is she taking me? Where, what are all these sounds? He's very fearful.
Hmm.
But when he finally sees that Io is taking him to this little enclosure that the Greys own, then he suddenly has this like epiphany. And I really like this level of humility that Darrow has. He says, I am a creature of nooks and tunnels and shafts. The mine is my home, and part of me wants to run to safety, run from this alien room of living things and vast spaces. He's just not used to like the vastness of space, being able to see
Hmm.
other than red, like
Yeah.
kind of what we were talking about in the last episode.
Hmm.
But I think it's really cool how small Darrow feels now because he's kind of a hot shot in his little world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's kind of interesting when they're in this enclosure and he's seeing all these things for the first time. Like he can see the sky and all these animals and all these insects. There was a point made about how the grass smelled nostalgic to him, even though obviously he's never seen grass before this. And I don't know exactly what that means, and I think maybe that will have a meaning in the future. But the fact that he's like human and he smells this grass and it like brings things back to him just shows that like he is literally just a person and he's just trying to live his life, but it's the society that has forced him into this slave like
yeah.
life.
It's like at the end of the day, he's also a child.
Hmm.
And like he also has he shouldn't be saying that it feels nostalgic to him.
I know.
Like he's just a kid.
Yeah. If they were on Earth, obviously it'd be a very different
Yeah.
experience. But
But and then it leads us into this very heated argument that him and
yes.
Io get into.
So at the beginning of this argument, Darrow is basically just arguing that like they're here for a purpose. He's basically just retelling the lies that the society is telling him. He says on page 31, he says, without them, we'd be on the dying earth like the rest of humanity. So even though he's lost this laurel and he's lost this opportunity that he should have gotten, he still believes in these lies that the society is telling him. And it's just like he can't get past it. He can't believe anything besides what he sees right in front of his face. And Io is just so much different than that.
Yeah. And obviously him saying this upsets Io quite a
Oh,
bit
yeah.
because she sees him as a symbol, even though to him it's her. But
Mhm.
I don't know, genuinely like the best way I can think to have this conveyed to our listeners here is to maybe just go back and forth. I can be Io. Would you mind reading for Darrow? And we can just kind of read through this.
Sure.
Darrow, are you so red that you don't see what they've done to us?
Watch your tone, I say tightly.
I'm sorry. It's just, we are in chains, Darrow. But it's more on the spot to call us slaves. We beg for food. We beg for laurels like dogs, begging for scraps from the master's table.
You may be a slave, but I am not. I don't beg, I earn. I am a hell diver. I was born to sacrifice to make Mars ready for man. There's a nobility to obedience.
Here is where we can really like see the complete stark difference between like their points of view here.
Yeah, it's interesting how different their thoughts are, but still how in love they are with each other, even though they are so different. And then again, in that last part, it mentions obedience again, which is just so common and still just so ingrained into Darrow's head.
Yeah. Going along. A talking puppet are you, spitting out their bloody damn lines. Your father had the right of it. He might not have been perfect, but he had the right of it.
Okay.
We have claim over this land, Darrow. Our sweat and blood water this soil, yet it belongs to the Golds, to the society. How long has it been this way? 150 years? Of pioneers mining and dying? Our blood and their orders. We prepare this land for the colors that have never shed sweat for us, colors that sit in comfort on their thrones in distant earth, colors that have never been to Mars. Is that something to live for? I'll say it again. Your father had the right of it.
Yo, my father died before he was even 25 because he had the right of it.
Your father was weak.
What the bloody damn is that supposed to mean?
It means he had too much restraint. It means your father had the right dream but died because he would not fight to make it real.
He had a family to protect.
He was still weaker than you.
Careful.
Careful! This from Darrow? The mad hell diver of Lycos? Ha! Your father was born careful, obedient. But were you? I didn't think so when I married you. The others say you are like a machine because they think you know no fear. They're blind. They don't see how fear binds you.
Wow, Io's like really on to him.
I know.
Io is totally like, not to pick sides or anything, but she's totally roasting him right now.
However, I think she's just trying to give him the right push.
I know, I mean, he is a hell diver. If anyone's gonna get through to him, it's gonna be Io, and she's gonna have to be really stern with him.
Yeah,
No one else could get to him like Io can.
yeah. And the reason that she goes for his father, like she makes that dig, is because she knows that's gonna get to him.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but
Oh my gosh.
it's just so crazy. Then it goes through and it talks about how he got burned in the mines and how she really just loves him for his brain and how she just wants him to act.
Hmm.
Then in the middle of page 33, I think we could pick back up.
How much a risk?
Your life, my life.
You're that eager to be rid of me?
Speak and they will listen. Is that the it is that bloody simple. All ears yearn for a voice to lead them through darkness.
Grand, so I'll hang with the troop. I am my father's son.
You won't hang.
So certain a wife I have, I'll hang.
You're not meant to be a martyr. And we can stop right there. I think this further drives the point that Io is the light of this revolution.
Hmm.
She says right here, like, all ears yearn for a voice to lead them through darkness. And I really, really like that. And she also foreshadows that Darrow is the protagonist here. You won't
Hmm.
hang. You're not meant to be a martyr. Yeah, that just goes to prove that he's meant to be the main character here. He is
Hmm.
going to be the savior.
Hmm. I think it's kind of interesting that Io views him as this simple because I don't know, like I get it, he's the Helldiver, he's super powerful, strong guy, but it seems kind of strange to me that she picks Darrow of all people, and maybe it's just because he's she's his wife, but I think there's a lot of people that would want to be part of this revolution more than Darrow does. Darrow really doesn't want anything to do with it at this point, but Io's still sticking with him, and she thinks that he's the one.
I mean, it has to have been something that she saw in him when they were really young. Like that's like the only thing I can think of because like
Yeah.
I agree with you. He kind of seems like a suck up.
Yeah. And also, somewhere in the past few chapters, Io said that she knew she was going to marry Darrow.
Yeah.
And Darrow did not think that at all. So, for some reason, early on, Io saw something special in Darrow in the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, on page 34,
Yes.
there's a quote that is my favorite quote in this chapter. And it's Io, and it says, "Death isn't empty like you say it is. Emptiness is life without freedom, Darrow. Emptiness is living chained by fear, fear of loss, of death. I say we break those chains. Break the chains of fear, and you break the chains that bind us to the golds, to the society." My
I
goodness.
love that.
Saying that death isn't empty like Darrow thinks it is. Darrow has this total notion where he believes that if you die, then it was pointless. Like you should be there, you should care for your family. Like I think he's still mad about his father leaving him because he had to grow up without a father. Instead, he had Io's father to act as that father figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Io just knows that there's so much beyond just death and just this life that you can make this impact
I
that could
fully
affect
agree.
the entire future.
Yeah, for sure. And this dream that she keeps talking about too. Like she keeps saying these like really almost prophetic lines. Like this is the dream we live for, break the chains. And honestly, like I would call these couple of lines the lines of the entire book.
Mhm.
You must live for more. Break the chains. Like she is so convinced and she knows that life could be better for them. And the fact that she wants her husband to be part of it just shows that she wants more for him instead of just for her. But on to chapter 5. So, moral of the story, they get caught.
Oh yeah.
It was very symbolic because they were locked in a cell for 3 days before the whipping.
Yeah.
And that's very biblical, which later on we do know that part 2 is called Lazarus. So it's not the first, only, or even last of our little biblical analogies here.
Hmm.
But I do think that the time frame is very ominous, as well as Io's little final stand almost, because the text says, "They should only whip her, yet her words are final, her eyes sad but not afraid. I see her making a goodbye." Then she eventually says, "Break the chains, my love." Very final, and like we know what's gonna happen at this point.
So yeah, so that's the very last
Yeah,
thing she says to Darrow.
directly and like
Yes.
personally.
So they're being punished. They're gonna be whipped
Mm-hmm.
simply because they found the, I guess, what would you call it? The place that's enclosed, like the nature and everything. I don't know if it really has a name for
Like a
it.
sanctuary, probably.
Yes, the sanctuary. Yeah, so they're getting whipped simply because they went to the
Yeah.
sanctuary. They're they obviously were not supposed to find it. They're not supposed to see anything like that because now they know that this is what life is supposed to be like. This is the world outside, and they have no part in it whatsoever.
Yeah. I think that it's so strange how something as simple as this is punishable in that degree.
Yeah. And it's not even like a light whipping.
It was 48, I think.
48 lashes
Like,
in front of the whole underground mining
yeah,
colony. And even Augustus comes to watch it,
yeah.
which I think
And
is pretty crazy. Yes. Another thing about the color hierarchy
yeah.
here is this is on page 78. It's the first time Darrow has ever seen a gold in
Oh,
person.
yeah.
So he comes down, it's Augustus and basically Augustus's assistant. We're not sure of his name yet. He says, I see a gold in this drab place. He's what I imagine angels be like, cloaked in gold and black, wrapped in the sun, a lion roaring upon his breast. So, again, he used to think that a Helldiver was a god, but now he sees a gold in person and his mind is just totally blown
Yeah.
away. And he notices the scar on his right cheek, and he knows that that means that they're Peerless Guard and that they've been through the Institute. So he knows he's a very powerful guy that
Yeah.
has come to watch this whipping.
Something I have written in the margins, actually, like right by that, is that the Golds are not just royalty, they're gods.
Isn't that crazy
Yeah.
how high of a level they take these people to be?
Yeah.
Like, royalty is one thing, but a god is insane to me. Such a high value placed on these golds.
Yeah. So, so strange. And like, yeah, this is supposed to look really alien for us, very foreign. But at the same time, like, it takes us aback. It's almost disgusting.
Or as Dara's being taken away, and then Eo's about to be whipped. There's a quote kind of in the middle of 38. It says, even the youngest, even the best, are subject to law, to order. And so obviously everyone's horrified that Io, their little
Yeah.
shining star, is being taken on stage and she's gonna be whipped, just like Darrow. And Darrow honestly barely survived that.
Yeah.
Like I think he passed out multiple times. How is little Io gonna survive this?
Yeah. There is a quote on page 40, and it really like exemplifies this kind of power that the higher colors have over the reds.
Mm-hmm.
um it literally says like, it's a show, all a show for their power. They let the tin paw ugly Dan act sympathetic, as though he pities me. He whispers encouragements in my ear loud enough for the cameras. That's so stupid. And when the last slash slashes my back, he steps in as if to stop another from coming down. Subconsciously, I think he saves me. I'm thankful. I want to kiss him. He is salvation. But I know I've had my 48. That is so stupid. Like, why would they make, like, why would they let him do that? Like, I know it's just a stupid color hierarchy, but like, it is so psychotic to me.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying about like how hard it is to watch Io be whipped. Um, Darrow is hysteric when the lashes start coming down, and like understandably so. She
Mm-hmm.
is this like loved figure, let alone his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he literally pleads, "Your Excellency, give me her punishment, please. I beg, because in my wife's eyes, I see something that terrifies me. I see fight in her. As they streak her back bloody, I see anger building inside her. There is a reason she is not afraid." Yo, stop!
So obviously Io was terrified before when she was brought up on the stage, but of course now we know she's scheming something. She has no reason to be afraid at this point. She's too far in.
she's very sure of herself in this moment, and
Hmm.
like it's so sad but so powerful at the same time. We keep
Hmm.
talking about this power, but it seems like we give it to the wrong people
Mm.
because there are different types of power. And I think that the less loud types of power are the ones that make the greatest impact. And we can see that later on, but we'll save that for a little bit later. And when she starts singing, I think that there's something really, it's like a surge of energy over this crowd of people. I really like this third to last paragraph on 41. It says, "Her voice is soft and true, never as beautiful as she. It echoes across the common, rising up like a siren's unearthly call. The lashes pause, the head talks shiver, even the tin pots sadly shake their head when they place the words, 'Few men truly like seeing beauty burn.'"
I think that's maybe the first time a color other than red, the tin pots, kind of actually relates to the reds.
Yeah,
Like, they actually have empathy for what's about to happen to Io.
yeah.
And it just shows that not only are all of the colors different, but that golds are one separate thing and all of the lower colors are separate.
Yeah, I fully agree. It just, if one song and one girl have can like evoke this amount of empathy and sadness among people who are supposed to hate them, I think that that's when people should start to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't really get into the words of the song right now. I think they become more significant as the story starts to unfold more. But do you have anything else you want to add for the rest of this chapter?
I think there's one more thing I would like to end with.
Okay.
It's at the top of page 42. Augustus says, "No animal but man throws themselves willingly into the flames copper. Relish the sight, you'll not see it again." So, again, he's more like influencing his power. Like, obviously, he's a gold, he has power over them. But he just keeps saying it. And the fact that it's kind of like a threat that you'll never see again, we know for sure as a fact that she was going to die at this point, and that if other people are going to do the same, they are also going to die because he has the power to do that, and the Reds can't do anything about it.
She's an example.
All right, on to chapter 6.
The martyr. The very first thing that stands out to me is that very first line. It says, "For Io, I do not react. I am anger. I am hatred." And this parallels heavily back to how he always says, "I am a hell diver from Lycos." And I really like that because at first it sounds so sure, but as this kind of situation is playing out, he sounds so afraid.
Mm-hmm. So they bring Io up
Mm-hmm.
to be hanged. She mouths to Darrow, "Live for more," which is honestly all she's ever asked for him, and Darrow's just never understood it.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like he's constantly thinking, like, I don't understand what you wants from me. I try to provide for her, I do anything for her. And she wants more. She wants him to be this simple. And I think maybe after this is when it might be able to click, but that's all she's ever wanted from him. And then, of course, she says, "Break the chains."
her signature line.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this point that you made to me earlier when we were prepping about how Io like brought up Dio instead of Darrow when it very well could have been him,
Mm-hmm.
her husband.
Yeah.
But I really like how it says, I will not be jealous. This is not about me. I love her, and her choice is made. I do not understand, but I will not let her die knowing anything but my love. I love how selfless that is. Very, very level headed and understanding in this moment. Because she's grieving for herself. She knows she's going to die. And she needs her sister.
Mm-hmm. Can we talk for a second about the secret that Io says to Dio?
Sure.
So, obviously, like you just said, Io asks Dio to come up instead of Darrow. She goes up there and she looks terrified, and then she starts crying because of whatever Io has told her. I just want people to really think about that because I know in the future it'll come back. So I think it's important to remember that there is this thing that Io has said, and Darrow has no idea what she says, but it's gonna live with him forever.
Yeah. And to our listeners, they've more than likely read through all of this chapter. Uh, when it's Darrow's time to be hanged after burying his wife, uh, Dio wouldn't tell him like what she'd said.
Yeah,
That's really sad.
she said something like you just said she loved you. But that's obvious. Darrow already knows that, so he knows something's up with that.
They're lying to him in his like time of what they know to be his death, and that's crazy. But I really, I, just to kind of go back to Io saying, Darrow gets the opportunity to pull her feet, and in that moment, I feel like that's like the ultimate sacrifice of love, is to not only let her go, but to end her suffering and let her die. I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk about the fading dirge because I really liked what you said about that earlier.
So, right after Darrow pulls Io's feet and she obviously dies hanging, the people of Lambda start doing the fading dirge, which is what we know previously is where they thump their fists on their chest. It's total powerful sound of like unity, and it just fades as they beat slower and slower and slower. And I think it's just something that the Reds do in a sign of when things are so sorrowful. It's kind of the only thing they can do as a group. Maybe it's kind of a sign of rebellion, but it's more, I think, of we are Reds, we are together, like we'll get through this experience.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like this theme that's beginning to form of scars, because as they're starting to bandage up Darrow's like wounds on his back from the whipping, Darrow has this thought: what are scars? How little they matter. Io will not see them, so why should I care? She will not run her hand along my back. She will never kiss my wounds. And I think that the physical scars are a physical representation of the mourning that he feels on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Another thing is that when he was scarred from the first chapter while hell diving, he wasn't really worried about his scars for himself. Like, they hurt, whatever, but really, he didn't want Io to be worried about it. He didn't want Io to be worried about him. And now it really doesn't matter at all.
Which is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
Something that just like continues this idea of mourning is when Darrow starts to think, my beautiful wife shone too bright to live long. And that just continues this idea that Io is a light. She is the symbol of Darrow's desire to fight. And
Mhm.
we can see this starting to form. We can see this when Darrow is walking past the HCs and he sees Io's execution and her song. And when he thinks, even if she were not my wife, I see a martyr, a young girl's pretty song silenced by the rope of a cruel man.
I think that even him watching that playback, like, what a symbol that's going to be for everyone else. If it can be a symbol for Darrow, who's so stubborn and so caught up in the society's lies, and it also costed him his wife's life, like, just imagine how much this is going to impact all of the other Reds.
Yeah, it might empower them to rise up, to fight for themselves. I don't know what it's gonna be,
Red
but
Rising?
I know. I know that guy. um, of
There's a
course, I'm gonna bring up Neryl again
do it.
because I love him. Uh, I really like that as him and Darrow are talking, and he's kind of walking him to his grave, basically. He says this line, I forget that I taught you how to dance. Meaning, of course you're sure. Of course you're gonna go through with this because I'm the one who taught you how to go through with it. And I really like how that highlights Neryl's strengths and his father figure esque. And it just very wholesome to me because it further shows that like he is a hero,
Mhm.
even if he was a failure and a belligerent drunk. But anyway, he ends that conversation with break the chains here, and I just love it. He just very much encourages Darrow to keep up his personal faith in maybe not himself, but in Io, because he uses Io's line. And I don't know, it's very powerful to me.
What page is that on
Um,
when he says break the chains?
it's on page 48 and it's towards the top.
I think Uncle Nero has a lot of influence on Darrow than he would like to admit.
I fully agree, and that's why I am fully Team Nero, like all the way.
So after this conversation with Uncle Nero, Darrow goes to bring Io down from the ropes. He cuts her down. And he goes to bury her in the sanctuary. And he says, this is the ultimate act of love, Io's silent requiem.
It's beautiful. It
I
really
really
is.
like that quote. I think, oh, man, just knowing that he's risking his life just to make sure his wife is buried in a nice place, a happy place, that's a lot.
It really is.
Especially for Darrow because he values his life a lot, but not more than he had valued Eo's life. So I think here is a turning point of where he starts thinking about death as differently than he did before.
Exactly. And I really like that he brought it full circle. He went back to the sanctuary where she had brought him, and now he's bringing her
Mm-hmm.
to be at peace. And they were at peace before. And honestly, yeah, it is the ultimate love. I really like that after his family realizes that he's gone, he had gone and buried his wife, his mother grasps his hands, his strength, and she holds his strength, kind of as like a representation of holding up someone who is supposed to be strong when they can't be. And that's on page 49. I really thought that was beautiful because she couldn't be there for her husband, so she's going to be there for her son.
Mhm.
And as Darrow's about to hang, he thinks back to what the Golds said, the head talks, as he likes to call them.
Mhm.
Is that all your strength? And then he goes on to say, my people sing, we dance, we love, that is our strength.
Mhm.
And I really like how it brings out that there's gentle strength and there's power in peace. And that's all that they really want, and they're willing to fight for that peace.
Mhm. Something I find interesting is that he also calls Dio up.
Oh, yeah.
And he says she's such a fragile thing, so unlike her sister. Which is interesting because Io is quite literally very fragile, but not mentally.
Yeah.
Like mentally, Io and Dio are so different. And I think now that Io's gone, Dio is just even more broken.
Which makes sense. I
Mhm.
think that Darrow described them as all but twins, like not really, but total opposites.
Mhm. All right, the ending.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
Well, I mean, obviously, Darrow is hanged. Um, I really like how he brings it back to Io again. It's always back to Io, but it's back to Io again. But Io was right. I don't understand this. This is not my victory. This is selfish. She told me to live for more. She wanted me to fight. But here I am, dying despite what she wanted, giving up because of the pain. And this paints him in his own mind as this selfish coward, whereas Io was this fearless symbol. And I hate that because that's obviously not what he's going to be used for, because we can tell that he's not going to die. By the end of the chapter, it's foreshadowed when it says, I hope they don't bury me. This is a thought that happens after Uncle Nero pulls his feet.
And winks at him.
Yeah. Like, of course he's not actually gonna die.
When
But
I first read that, I was like, what the heck?
yeah.
Like, I knew he wasn't gonna die, but even for Uncle Nero to like wink in this situation, I think it's just a little funny.
Yeah, it is. I think it's very obvious that this is not the end, considering it's
Reborn.
born and there's this much of the book left.
Yes.
But
It's just the
I
beginning.
think that that part one was really good.
Oh yeah.
It set up a perfect launch point for world building and
Mhm.
for character development.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited to see where this goes from here.
Me too.
Perfect. Well, we will see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.